Welcome back to Game On, your weekly game news. I'm your host, Nicholas, here with Keaton, and today we have a great episode for you today. As a week from today, we will have the new Pokemon Z through A releasing next Thursday, and that's going to be a fun one as I'm excited to play that game. I'm so happy to go back to the Kalos region. It's one of my favorite regions out there in the Pokemon world. And I'm just excited to play this game. What are your thoughts about this game?
This is definitely more your passion because I didn't play Pokemon growing up. I was one of the people that I watched the game. I watched the TV show. Obviously, I didn't play. I actually didn't play any of the games. But what I've heard from this game, I've heard it's good. I've heard there's new combat system which revolutionized the game, new graphics, all the new stuff that Pokemon fans are gonna love. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for you to play it.
I know. I'm really excited. I liked when they did the first version of this game when it was. The first version of this game for this series was actually really, really good. I enjoyed it, and I thought it was excellent. I thought the open world was really good. They did a really nice job with it, and I think it's going to have an amazing graphics releasing on the both Nintendo Switch 1 and 2. And I'm excited to explore the new region of Kalos as it's going to be taking place in the future, which is going to be a step up that we really haven't seen in the Pokemon world. We really haven't seen a futuristic type game from them, so it's going to be interesting to see how they play, how futuristic are they going to go into this game, and what can we see going forward. I know you're not really the biggest Pokemon fan or haven't played the games, but like if you're in a Pokemon world, like what futuristic type way, like what kind of futuristic game mode would you like to see?
I mean, I feel like a multi-Pokemon battle type situation would be cool. I feel like the format of Pokemon battles have always been cool. The one-on-one, and then you change them out and stuff like that. But at the same time, I think revolutionize that while having the new melee techs and stuff like that people are going to figure out, while also having a new system for it will make it a lot more rounded of a game. And, you got to make something feel more fresh. You don't want to roll – you can roll out the same core that made the game good. You never want to abandon your core. But at the same time, you want to make it new so that you have, something for people to sink their teeth into, something for people to get excited about.
Yeah, no, I mean, with this Kalos region, we're going to be coming back to Mega Evolution, which actually really changed the game going forward because ever since, Pokemon X and Y released in 2013, they've really set the stone for evolving Pokemon in a different way. I mean, we've seen, Aloha forms, we've seen different types of forms that they've done over the years. I mean, it's been really interesting to see how, Mega Evolutions really explored the dynamic of Pokemon. And with the new futuristic version of this game, we're going to see Pokemon that we haven't seen from X and Y get Mega Evolutions. And one of my favorites for that Mega Evolution, I think it's got to be Hawlucha. I mean, Hawlucha was one of the best or one of the better fighting type Pokemon in the Kalos region. And I think he just didn't get the Pokemon just didn't get the love it deserved. I think it was really underrated in my opinion. And I think by getting
Hawlucha's a deep pull.
Yeah,
I was thinking like Squirtle, like Pikachu. Like I'm thinking of
so
the
like
generics.
Hawlucha is getting more of like, for me the best way to put it is more like a wrestling. Like Hawlucha's a wrestling
Do
Pokemon.
we need to throw up a picture?
I mean, I don't.
All
even,
right.
Can we throw up a picture? I don't even think we can.
Can
But
we
it's getting
No,
more.
we can't.
It's
We don't
getting
have the-
more.
We don't have the budget for a picture.
We're audio,
okay.
so. But it's getting more of a wrestling type look. The mask is definitely an upgrade. It's got the white eyes out, and the color scheme for this looks amazing.
menacing.
It looks menacing. So I'm really excited to play Hawlucha going into this game. I mean, the website that we're using for today has leaks and also possibly leaks and also Mega Evolutions that have been confirmed already. So out of this list, who are you most excited for? I could tell you which ones are already going to be in the game, and these three starters are already going to be in the game. These three, Hawlucha's another one that I mentioned.
I'll tell you, I didn't play a lot of Pokemon growing up, but I watched a lot of Pokemon growing up. Mega Chandelure was always one of my favorites.
Yeah,
There's
Mega
no picture of him.
Chandelure looks kind of menacing if that's going to be, a Pokemon for this game going forward. And
it looks like a full-on candelabra. I mean, just
Yeah.
a multiple candle demon. He looks sick. The purple really accents really well. It's hard to take, a Pokemon whose entire personality or like persona or look is a candle and really make it big, and they did a really good job. So that's personally my favorite.
So, I'm pretty sure that's most likely, I don't want to say it's a leak that's going forward. So hopefully that is going to be in the game. But for me, I think the biggest letdown for a Mega Evolution's got to be Dragonite. When they first released Dragonite as a Mega Evolution, I was not excited for it.
Is that his thing?
So yeah, that's the Mega Evolution.
That looks it looks AI generated. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you got wings on the head. You got a weird ball on the tail. His wings are tiny on his back. Like I don't. Mega Evolution is meant to be mega and like be good and be giant. And this just looks like my 10-year-old sister drew it on a Word document. I'm not gonna lie. And it's kind of AI generated up. Not to insult Nintendo or anything, but that's not good.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they could have done so much more with Dragonite being one of the favorite Dragon type Pokemon out there, and I really like the Dragonite line, and I think they could have done so much better with it. I think it could have, possibly had like a Charizard type Mega Evolution, something along those lines, or something just completely different. I mean, I just think this was one of the biggest letdowns for one of the Mega Evolutions that they've confirmed already, and I just haven't been the biggest supporter of it. I think it's one of the least, for me personally, I think it's one of the least favorited Mega Evolutions, as they could have done so much with this. It could have just been so much better, and they just, like you said, they gave wings on the top of its head and the ball on its tail. It's just really, I mean,
it looks so AI generated.
Yeah,
it looks so not real.
But for the starters from the Kalos region, they've really stepped it up. I mean, Greninja looks excellent. He looks like, they for his color scheme, they almost gave him his shiny almost in a way. They gave him more of a black tone, which is something that I was excited to see. And they also made him upside down, standing on a water ninja star. So I thought that was really, really cool. But
that sounds cool.
Yeah, but for the other starters, they look really, really good as well. But I think my favorite is Mega Greninja. And for the Kalos game, I'm hoping that we see Hoenn as well, because Hoenn also got a big, for Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby, when those games came out, they had Mega Evolution. So I'm hoping, with this future type game, we could see those Pokemon transfer over into the Kalos region, which I would hope that we could play as, because I would love to play as, there were so many Megas from the starters. From Trico was one of the main evolution lines that I personally loved. I think those starters had one of the best Mega Evolutions so far. I mean, I think Mega Charizard was one of the favorites for Kalos when the Kanto starters got it, but I think Hoenn deserves a lot more love too, because that's one of my favorite generations for Pokemon, and I think they definitely need to introduce more Mega Evolutions for the Hoenn. They had a handful of Megas, but I think we would like to see more for this Kalos game.
I might need to play this game. You're making this sound very intriguing. If you're wondering why we're laughing, our producer is cheering off camera just for his own Pokemon fandom.
But yeah, I mean, from this website, they have a lot of leaks, so hopefully some of these leaks are true. I would love to see, the starters that we've introduced for, this game get Mega Evolutions. So I'm happy to see if these leaks are true. I would love to play as, most of these Mega Evolutions. They look really well. And shout out to Mega Victory Bell. That looks menacing. I think that's going to be insane to use. I think they did really well with that. But for that part, I think we got to, talking about Pokemon, I think another game that kind of copies the similarities is Pal World. That was one of the biggest games, of last year. And it just, took the gaming world by storm of how similar it was to Pokemon. And what do you think about that when you saw, Pal Worlds first get leaked, or not leaked, first introduced?
I mean, you can look at Pal World, and I think sales ultimately define the industry in video game business. I mean, if people like it, they're gonna buy it. It's gonna become a household staple. Second most played game ever on Steam, and the fastest selling, first party on PlayStation. That's something, or for a PlayStation exclusive in their history. Like, that's something you don't just do. There's not something you just set out to do. That's something you have to accomplish over time and through crafting of a really, really good game. So overall, you have to look at the overall customer response. It's been very net positive. People are enjoying the game. And if it can rival, Nintendo and Pokemon and stuff like that, then go for it. I mean, if that's your goal, go and achieve it. If it's that good of a game, then it'll speak for itself and it'll go far.
Yeah, no, I mean, when this game first came out, I was like, wow, I'm really surprised they were able to copy this dynamic of copying how similar, some of the, I guess, I don't even know what they're really, I guess the Pal World generation, or like the beast that you're able to use. I mean, they have so much similarity between, the Pal Worlds, I guess, Pokemon in a way, and then also Pokemon itself. They had so much similarities. I mean, just looking at it, they had Pinglet. I think that's how you pronounce it, and it looks exactly like Piplup.
I mean,
if
but at
you
the same
follow
time,
it, it's just
not to cut you off, but at the same
No,
time,
you're
like
good.
like you know Digimon, right? It's
Yeah.
a blatant.
I mean, yeah, Digimon,
blatant
yeah.
knockoff of Pokemon. Like everybody, but at the same time, is everybody knows it is. Everyone and Digimon never claimed to be Pokemon. They never claimed to not be Pokemon. Like Digimon owned their stuff. They owned who they were, and they're like, yeah, we're kind of a ripoff, but at the same time, we're gonna make a really good game. Who's to stop Power from doing the same? Now, do you copy? I'm looking at photos here. Look at the designs. Do you copy them like this, kind of, craft for craft? No, that's how you become, the second best. You don't want to be, if you're FIFA, you don't want to be the Pez of the world where it's like it's a good game, but it's not FIFA. You know what I mean? You don't want to be the second best, the little brother in a sense. But if the reviews are well enough to where they can not knock off Pokemon, but also keep doing what they're doing and keep the authenticity of their own brand, then I'd say go for it. There's nothing wrong with them really, because the animal capture fighting style that Pokemon has, it's not a new style by any means. It's been going on for years, even kind of prior to Pokemon's massive success. Them bringing it to the mainstream was obviously what kind of took off, but the whole idea of like a pet-based fighting game was nothing new. So it's hard to call it a copycat, but it's also easy to look at the sales and say, man, this copycat is doing really well.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Pal Worlds was one of the best-selling games of last year, and it took the world by storm by, adding like, a Minecraft type feature to, a Pokemon type based game, and it's like, combining those two, it gave you Pal World, and it showed how really good it did in the gaming world. I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, wow, I'm repeating myself again, but I was like, wow, they really, the graphics look amazing because obviously it's, released on consoles and Steam, so it was on PC and consoles for the most part, but the graphics was just outstanding. I thought it was real, the graphics were beautiful. I mean, the color schemes, everything for the graphics were amazing. And, looking at the pets that they had, or whatever you want to call them for the game, they had the similarities of some Pokemon. I'm like, wow, I'm really surprised they're able to, copy them like some of the faces that they had, some of their, their bodies that some Pokemon and these, that they share. So I was really, really surprised that they were able to copy, basically copy and paste face expressions and all that to this game. And, growing up, I was, for Pokemon was a really big thing for me. So like when I was able to play like the Pokemon mods, when it was like a Pixelmon, if anybody's heard of that, that gave me the same type of feeling.
That's a good YouTube in like 2015. That was like, a great series.
Seeing Pal World gave me that type of feeling of like what Pixelmon could have been if they were able to, get some sort of agreement. I played Pixelmon here and there, but something about just playing Pokemon on like the DS and all that just gave me the nostalgia feeling. So I really couldn't play, Pixelmon, and also Pal World just didn't give me the same feeling as what I was hoping for. But what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, nostalgia can get in the way of a lot of things. I think a lot of people take nostalgia, and nostalgia is definitely not newer thing, but like it's more mainstream now. It's a lot more common. People talk about it. There's the nostalgia of the 2010s and everything. Even at that time, a lot of bad games came out, and people think they're amazing now. And I think a lot of people with Pokemon, like that's the advantage they have with Pokemon is the nostalgia factor. People are gonna play. If a mom is going through a store and she sees Pal World, she sees Pokemon, she knows what Pokemon is. She's heard of Pikachu. She's heard of all these, Ash and whoever. So she's gonna pick up Pokemon. That's the advantage you have going for them. That's why it's so important for Pal World right now to just keep doing what they're doing. It's a good game. People are loving the game. You're breaking records. You're doing what you set out to do. Now just keep executing on that, and you'll be fine. You'll eventually build that cultural brand and that nostalgia in a couple years where kids will say, I grew up with Pal World. I love this game. Once you get that kind of audience once they grow up and become like more mature and you get that audience, you'll be fine.
Yeah, no, I mean, this game really showed how popular it could get, but also, the Pokemon Company and Nintendo stepped in, in September 24 and actually sued the company of Pal World, Pocket Pair, and they sued them for, basically copy and paste for, not to go into special. No, I don't know what the words I'm trying to look for.
No, we can go into it. No, Nintendo are being greedy.
Ever tried balancing a dozen eggs in one hand while hopping on one foot? Or maybe juggling cats while riding the unicycle? Sounds ridiculous, right? But guess what? That's exactly what texting while driving is like. Your human brain only has the capacity to focus on one thing at a time. So when you're behind the wheel, give driving your undivided attention.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Check the back seat. Check the back seat.
Gets in your head, right? Good, because every year dozens of children are forgotten in the back seat. Cars get hot fast and can be deadly, so get it in your head. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Nobody had to tell your grandparents not to drive while using their typewriters. Why should it be any different for us kids and our cell phones? Distracted driving was the cause of more than 3,000 deaths in 2022. Come on, we're smarter than this. Let's put down the phones and focus on the roads. Drive safe, everybody.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Yeah,
But
as per usual.
I don't want to say greedy, but like they had every right to sue them, because it's like you see some of these, these beasts that they're using, and it's basically copy and paste from Pokemon. I mean, just seeing some of these pictures just look like exact, just copy and paste of Pokemon. And these Pokemon, I mean, this Power World animal right here looks exactly like, Eevee, and then scrolling up, they look, the one that looks like Pikachu looks exactly like Pikachu, and then same for this one. I mean, come on now. I mean, that looks like the same as that
I'm
one.
I'm gonna play massive devil's advocate here, because I'm a Nintendo fan. I love everything they're doing. They're a great brand, whatever. Pardon me, sorry, but Nintendo's being greedy. They are. Here's the thing: if I'm the NFL and I have a football brand, right? Does that mean nobody else can put on a football league? No. Just because you own it and you kind of pioneered it and you made it famous doesn't mean you own the concept. It can be very similar, but what's it called? I forgot the word. Sorry, here we go. But at the same time, parody is parody. You can make it kind of very. Look at Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals is a direct ripoff of Overwatch. Everybody knows that. Marvel Rivals and Overwatch both knew that. Did Overwatch do anything about it? No, because their game was on the downslide, and Marvel Rivals is now on the upslide. Why? Because they do things that Overwatch won't do. If you have a competitor that's doing better than you, that's honestly great. I love competition in the sport, in the gaming area, because it makes people innovate. It makes people want to be the best, and that's what you need to have. A lot of these creators, a lot of these big companies like EA, like Blizzard, like Nintendo, they get so complacent in saying, okay, we're the only brand that's doing this. Why do we have to change anything? We'll just pump out a game every year and no one's going to care. But once you have competition, it's, oh no, we have to sue them because we can't put in effort, God forbid. So I just have a big gripe with companies that take down smaller guys who are doing better than them. It's a bad look.
Yeah, no, I mean, all my friends were playing Power World at some point, and I was just not on the hype train because I just did not like how.
You're a Pokemon fanboy. It's okay.
So I was, I just didn't like the ripoff that they did, but you also got to look at the fall off. I mean, they had one of the biggest rises in games, and then after the Pokemon company and Nintendo sued them, they just went downhill, and they just haven't been able to recover the revenue that they've lost so far. So, both companies, played a big role for, the downslide of this game. And, I was just really, just shocked of how, I think at one point it reached like 22 million at one point, the first week when this game came out of, popularity. So like now I don't even think it's in the millions now. I don't even have the exact number, but
that's what Nintendo does. When they have a competitor, they stomp them out and they crush their name until they're no more. Because God forbid we change our game and make it better, we're just gonna stomp you out or buy you. It's the same thing that Disney does. If you're competition, we're just gonna crush you until we win. And besides changing our product, we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna kill you.
But
so it's a harsh term, but it's true.
But with this, the fight between Pokemon and Pal World is interesting, and Pal World is still out there. If you want to play it, you could go ahead. It's on.
We're not sponsored.
We're not sponsored, but it's still a popular game out there. But it's still out there, and it's still, trying to fight back to make a name for itself. But
so yeah, speaking of greedy companies, let's move into the next segment. What is it on our list here?
Xbox Game Pass has increased their prices by $10. So originally it was $20 per month to play, whatever games you wanted to play on the Game Pass. But now, as of this past week or so, they've upgraded it to $30 a month. And I think that's a little bit outrageous for Game Pass. Obviously, they have tons of games on there that you could play, from indie games to sports games to shooting games to whatever. And I just feel like, in a way, it's good, but also bad, because depending on which version of Game Pass you have, it gives you more of a variety of games to play. So like, I feel like it's worth it because, when Xbox acquired Activision, you're able to play, all the new Call of Duty games. And now with BO7 coming out soon, you're able to get that on Game Pass for much cheaper than what you have been able to get it for a digital game. I think digital would be at least $60 or $70. And now if you have Game Pass, you're only buying that for half the price for $30. So in a way, it works out for you. But what do you think about, them raising their prices?
I mean, when you raise the price in anything you do, especially in the video game scene, you have to make sure the content is still there. Any DLC, any skin, any mod pack, any, exclusive whatever you're buying for your person or any upgrade you want to get, you have to make sure if you're going to increase price, you have to increase the quality of your product and what you're getting. You can't just increase it $30 or to $30 and just say, yeah, we're going to keep it the same and just increase it $30. Everybody's going to see what you're doing. And everyone's going to see that you just want more money because times are tough in the economy, I guess. Hard to really be sympathetic toward a $1 billion brand. But at the same time, you have to look at the overall gaming scene and what's going on. Games are getting more expensive. With digital download, games are getting pricey. They're getting insane. I think GTA 6 is what? $100, $200?
That's what it's rumored to be, somewhere in that price range. But we don't know what that price range is going to be at. But I could imagine it's going to be.
So it's going to be up there.
It's going to be up there in price.
Yeah, good.
But for Game Pass, I mean, if you have Game Pass and they also Xbox gotta, I feel like for me personally, they have to upgrade their games. I feel like they have so many games out there, but it's like it's not the best ones, if that makes sense. So it's like it's all like the smaller ones, but also they've had really good gems too that have been on Game Pass that's actually had success. But also some people may not like to play those games. So it's like you got to upgrade. If you're upgrading the price, you're also got to upgrade the games that you're introducing every so month or every month. And for me personally, I have Game Pass, and I think the games that you
play Xbox?
Yes.
I play PS5.
Well, I have both, but yeah.
Then why are you complaining about $30 a month? You got both consoles. Don't look at producers for help.
No, I didn't know what happened. Oh, okay. So
you have both consoles, and you're over here complaining about $30 a month.
No, I'm not complaining, but like if as somebody out there has an Xbox and you have Game Pass and you're paying $30 a month, I just feel like depending on what games you play, like whatever you're interested in a way, it depends what you want to play at the end of the day. Because, the Call of Duty games being on Game Pass is definitely worth it because those games are $60 to $70 at most. But then you're getting it for half the price. And then, if you want to play like the older generation of Call of Duty, you can. But for cheaper the price, because now if you want to get it digitally, they're going up in price because they're not being seen, they're not being sold, the older version of those games are not being sold on disc anymore. So if you want to get those games, Game Pass is a great option to use because you're only paying $30 a month to get, essentially a $30 to $40 game, a game that came out 8 years ago now. So, at the end of the day, Game Pass is worth it because there's so many games out there. I mean, I've played tons of games for Game Pass. So if you are a gamer that plays constantly every day and you download at least 8 to 9 games a month from Game Pass, it's worth it because
how many games do you download in a month?
Well, no, I'm just saying.
How many do you have?
I personally don't play that much, but like if I'm
8 to 9, my God.
Well, if you have Game Pass, you could download as many games as you want.
Well, this is what I'm going to get into right here. Think of the trickle down effect this causes. If a game that we're going to put really low prices here, so we're not getting bogged down in math. Let's say a game is $40, right? And on Game Pass it's $20 because you have Game Pass. You pay $30 a month for Game Pass. Then that game's not getting what it needs to, and the developer's not getting what they need to from the revenue, right? So what happens? They raise the price of the game, and then what happens? They raise the price of Game Pass, and then all of a sudden that little half off, 30% whatever you're getting from Game Pass doesn't look like all that much you're paying for the original game. So overall, like if you're increasing the price of Game Pass, and then the games increase their price, then what's the point? What's the actual point in increasing and having it at all? What's the point in buying Game Pass if you're going to increase the price so much to the point where the original game that's at $40 is now $70? Because they feel they have more value. That's what I was trying to say with GTA. It's all about I was saying earlier with the content you're getting. GTA 6 can be priced at $150, $200. Why? Because look at the content you're getting. You're getting a game with role play, like capabilities with online. You have private server stuff. You have a great, probably 14-hour, however long story you're going to get. Just stuff like that. That's the overall content you're getting. That's what really needs to be important here, is making sure the game developers are also making their money to the point where they don't have to drastically increase game prices, increase the game prices to the point where the Game Pass is now not helping, and you have to think about the content you're getting from the price increase.
Yeah, no, I mean, looking at, this website here for October, it looks like Game Pass is definitely going to get, a step up in the games. I mean, just looking at, the games coming out, I mean, you have pretty much all the Assassin's Creed games coming to Game Pass already. That's worth it right there for $30 a month for Game Pass. Assassin's Creed is one of the best games out there.
What's your favorite out of them? Have you played any of them?
Yeah, I've played it.
Which one?
Black Flag.
I'm an Odyssey man myself.
Black Flag is Odyssey's
so underrated.
But
it's so underrated.
It is, but Assassin's Creed's right there.
It's also the only one I've played, so
if you get even half of those games or even just one, that's worth it right there for Game Pass. And then just going down the list, you got all the Fallouts coming to Game Pass. You got Diablo 4 coming to Game Pass. You have Hogwarts Legacies, who was an up and down game. It was an okay game.
That game started off so hot, and then it just died so quickly.
Think about it. Hogwarts Legacy is, what, a $40, $50 game right there. Mm-hmm. You're getting it for $30.
$60. My
or
God.
Or $60. But, you also got Halo coming. So you have a lot of games coming to, Game Pass. Tom Clancy's games are coming to Game Pass. You got Watch Dogs. You got Warcraft coming. So you have a lot of games to play, in the next month or so. So I'm really excited to look into, Game Pass once some of these games are out.
I mean, Moneybags over here with 2 consoles. I mean, I'm sure you are pretty interested in Game Pass.
I am, but to finish out our last segment of...
You know what I won't spend money on?
What?
Mobile games. That's what I won't spend money on.
Mobile games are the best games that came out.
$1 for a game is crazy on mobile games. I saw a mobile app once for, no joke, $10. And it was like a jewelry store finding app. It was some rich kid app.
Playing?
No, it wasn't a game at all. It was like find my jewelry store around New York. It was a bunch of like Diamond District guys who were selling legit chains and stuff. I was like, what are we doing here?
But anyway, the best mobile games debate. I got this idea from our very own Chris Callow. He's in the radio station. You can listen to him Wednesdays 11 to 1 on Rowan Radio, and he gave me this idea, and I was excited to put it in.
You think Rowan Radio will collab with us?
Yes, they would.
I think we should collab with Rowan Radio.
Collab.
We should go on their show and just rate them.
But
I think a good idea.
For mobile games, some of my top games that I've played over my longevity on this earth have been Among Us, Mobile Minecraft, Cut the Rope, Where's My Water, Subway Surfers, Pokemon Go, and Jetpack Joyride. I know it's a really crazy mix of games.
Oh,
but
I'm not making fun of your mix of games. I'm making fun of one of them.
But Among Us, what? Among Us?
You put Among Us in there, bro. This is
Among Us had everyone in a threshold when
for
it came out.
For 2 weeks.
No,
for 2 weeks, Valkyrie played it, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's so cool, proximity chat," and then all of a sudden, no one cared.
It was more than 2 weeks. You know
how Fortnite like grew to popularity, then became like the cringe game for kids. Among Us, and that happened over like 3-4 years. Among Us did that in like 2 weeks. It became so cool and died so fast. And I'm so happy it did die.
I've played Among Us almost every single day with my friends. If you're watching this, you know who you are.
You need new friends because
we loved
God.
it. We had great times.
Let me show you. Let me tell you some real.
I yelled really
here.
loud at some of them. If you're listening to this, you know who you are.
Let me tell you some real mobile games here. Let me tell you about Call of Duty Mobile.
Call of Duty Mobile. I didn't want to add that because I play, console.
You're not gonna mess with my Lord and Savior Call of Duty Mobile.
What do you play with controller?
No, my thumb, bro.
Oh,
I'm here. Yeah, you know what? These thumbs got me #1 ranked in the world, so don't even try.
Nice.
Man.
Did you play PUBG Mobile?
Hell no. Play no PUBG Mobile. Get out of here.
But
he's with a frying pan. It's so cool. No, it's a knockoff.
But Cut the Rope was
fire. Cut the Rope was fire.
Where's My Water.
I remember. Good job.
Yeah.
Those are good.
I mean, Subway Surfer, I think, still has a threshold in mobile games.
Subway Surfer is only popular because YouTube Shorts exists.
Well, that's true. Yeah. If it wasn't for YouTube Shorts, Subway Surfers would be dead.
If you put Subway Surfers underneath your videos, right, find good clips. I'm tired of watching people not get all the coins when they're playing Subway Surfers on YouTube Shorts. That makes me upset. It makes me mad.
But Pokemon Go, I know this episode's been Pokemon heavy.
We are in 2016, my guy.
But Pokemon Go in 2016
you got a dab?
had a threshold on us, and it was insane. You know, I was heavily involved in this game. I put so many hours into this game, and I wish I could go back and redo it again. It was. I had my
Pokemon
parents.
Go?
What?
You'd redo and do
Yeah.
Pokemon
I
Go.
would
How many miles do you think you walked on Pokemon Go?
A lot. And
lot.
Also, shout out to my parents who drive me everywhere to help me achieve the gym badges. Thank you. I shout you guys out,
Dude,
but those moments right there were great.
yeah, I bet they were, dude. Can you imagine your kid walking up and be like, hey, Mom, I need you to drive me somewhere for this mobile app? Okay.
Yeah, and she did. She drove me to my local park, and I
Shout out your
stood
mom,
there
bro.
while doing a battle, and she waited until I was done, and I went back and I lost.
Didn't even win?
No, I didn't win because the gym was over leveled, and I was
Oh,
a few
the
levels
gym was
under.
over leveled. Oh.
And I didn't have the greatest Pokemon.
So you invested probably about what, 2 gallons of gas into Pokemon Go?
No, it was only that one time. I only did it once, and I walked the rest.
You walked there. Well, good for you, man. That's a lot more dedication than I put into a game, besides Call of Duty Mobile. Yeah, Minecraft's definitely, I think, my favorite of all time. I just played that for hours on end. Like, 95% of the reason my phone storage was dying was because of Pokemon. Was because of Minecraft. The other 5% was, like, photos and stuff. But, like, it's in Pokemon again. But it was, like, Minecraft was probably most of the reason my phone storage was dying. I didn't play a lot of mobile apps growing up. I mean, I had, like, the classic Where's My Water, Jetpack Joyride, and stuff like that. But overall, those are some classics.
Yeah, there's so many out there that, we have played, but
If you have any, if you have your own take, let us know.
Yeah,
we
let
will
us
gladly
know.
debate them on and tell you
we
if
will
they're
debate
wrong or
them
not.
on Game On,
We
but
will.
that will do us for today. I'm your host, Nicholas, here with Keaton, and we'll see you next week.